record. You can pass that around. Basho's Shujo. Main case. Master Basho said to the assembly, "If you have a Shujo, I will give it to you. If you have no Shujo, I will take it away from you." Mumon's commentary. Having it supports us. We wade across a river that has no bridge. Having it accompany us, we return to the village on the moonless night. But if you call it a Shujo, you will go to hell as swiftly as an arrow. Main verse, the verse. The depths and shallows everywhere are all within his grip. It supports the heavens and sustains the earth. Everywhere it enhances the spirit of our sect. So, that is a Shujo. It is the monk's staff. Thank you. And it is representative of the Buddha's leg.
Buddha's what?
Buddha's leg.
Leg?
Yeah. So there's seven implements that monks receive upon transmission, and they represent different parts of the body. And this top thing, I don't know what it's called by itself, it probably has a name, is intended to scare off animals and insects so that you don't step on them or you don't kill them as you walk around. So it intentionally makes noise to kind of announce that you're coming. If the ground you're walking on is hard enough, well, even if it isn't, even if you're sticking it as you're walking and the ground is soft, you may not hear it pounding the ground, but this will. Oops. Yep. It will do that. It will shake. Oh, thank you. So this koan is very similar to the one about kicking over the water jar. And also like the one last week was, if you call it a shipe, you are adhering to the fact. If you do not call it a shipe, you are opposing the fact. And the other one was, this is a water jar. But do not call it a water jar. What do you call it? So all of these koans, thank you. I'm making a mess. Okay. All of them are about getting past what is and is not, what you have and don't have, what you call and don't call, to your essential nature, which does not exist in this constant dichotomy. We're constantly splitting things up. And this division, although it appears to exist, is not real. So this is the Zen master's way of kind of breaking up that constant discursive dualistic thinking that we are trapped in, and that people use to their favor. We have billions of dollars, and literally billions of dollars is spent on creating division. And we've seen the results of that this past week. I didn't know anything about Mr. Kirk until his death. never heard of it before. But clearly, there are people who are deeply invested in maintaining division and who invest in both sides of that divide because it makes money. I mean, they're not interested in one side winning over the other. They're just interested in which part of that argument is the most profitable at whichever time. And that's what works. That's what makes money. That's what runs a lot of our capitalist economy. We're constantly creating this delusion that we need stuff. And no matter how much stuff you need, you always need this other thing that's new that you didn't know you needed before. And if you don't have it, then, oh, it's just sad. What? I said what over time?
The hedonic hamster wheel.
Yes, constantly. And you know, too, it does work and it does drive the economy. We get very concerned when people stop spending money. I know. And you know, then you know, and that happened. Yeah, it happened during COVID. You know, people weren't going out; they weren't spending money. So what did the government do? We sent people money. Please spend. Please continue to drive our economy. And here's some commercials that'll help you decide what you need while you're working at home. So here we are again. You know, this is, you know, our practice, this practice of not separating, of not participating in this constant dualistic, you know, hamster wheel is radical. And, you know, I can imagine that there'd be some people who would be interested in killing Buddhists if, you know, if they got out of control. You know, and that, you know, I don't know if that was the reason. There were several Chinese emperors who did persecute Buddhists. I don't know if it was because the effect they had on the economy at the time. I doubt it. I think it's just, you know, basic prejudice. You know, they didn't appreciate, because Buddhism after the Tang Dynasty or during the Tang Dynasty gained a lot of control. So they had a lot of money, a lot of monasteries, a lot of power, and you know, emperors don't like their power challenged. That was probably more the motivation back then. So now, if we, you know, actually succeeded in convincing people that you are enough, you have enough, you don't need anything, everything is perfect just as it is, and you stop spending money. As a result,
Lord have mercy.
yes. This, you know, this would be considered a very, you know, problematic cult in the eyes of those who want to continue to generate this and other economies. I mean, you know, this whole tarot thing has been kind of amazing to watch, because the whole Chinese government, the whole Chinese system is built on this this overproduction. And now that nobody's, very few people are buying it, I ordered my hamster wheel is fountain pens. Fountain pens. So the tariff I paid, I bought a pen from Italy and I bought a pen from Taiwan at about the same time, and the tariff on the one from Italy was $27, even though it was 3 times as expensive as the one I bought from Taiwan. The tariff on the one from Taiwan was $60. I'm thinking, that's how this works.
Consumer always pays.
Yeah, always. And why, you know, they thought otherwise, I don't know. Anyway, so here we are. You know, what is this that we have when we have or don't have this Shujo, this leg of the Buddha? This is the metaphor is about standing. Where you stand, standing in your truth, standing in your enlightenment, standing in, and if you have that, no one can take that away from you. It doesn't come from the outside. No one can give it to you. That experience is your direct experience to have, and once you have it, it's like drinking that taste of fresh spring cold water. Impossible to describe to someone else, but impossible to take away from you as a direct experience. So if you have that, I will give it to you. Not that he can give it to you, but I'll give that you have that. If you don't have it, then yeah, if you're saying that you don't have this enlightenment, which everyone has, all beings, nothing's left out of that. All beings have the wisdom of the Tathagata. But if you insist on claiming that you don't have it, or claiming that other people don't have it, or claiming that it doesn't exist, then yeah, I'll take it away from you. You don't have to. You don't have it. If you say you don't have it, you have it. I really can't take it away from you, so I have to give it to you that you have it. This is where we stand. And this reference here in Momon's commentary, having it support as we wade across the river, because the reason it's so long or tall, how you're holding it, is it was used I believe it wasn't created until it was created in India. So because the Jains used a similar staff, because the Jains didn't want to kill insects, so they walked around with these staffs to scare the insects and move away. So I don't know if it was the same length. When it gets to China, there were these rivers and bodies of water that you'd have to cross. So this was used as a way of measuring how deep it was. So it was usually cut. I don't know if this is the right length, but it's usually cut at about 7 feet. So obviously, if it's longer than if your staff sinks all the way, you'll be swimming. you won't be walking across that body of water. So in the verse refers to the same thing. The depths and shallows everywhere are all within his grip. So within this staff, within the measure, the power of the use of this staff, you can tell how deep or shallow something is, and literally and metaphorically, because it was used by Zen teachers as a symbol of enlightenment. So an important implement and an important metaphor in Zen Buddhist practice. But besides the point being this have or have not, this call it this or call it that, this giving it and taking it away, this dualism that we're constantly living in, because that's how things appear to be. So how do we take care of that dualism, recognizing and having the direct experience of this oneness? That's the hard part. That's the challenge, because we know better. We know that we are not separate from the haters in the world. We all have those capacities within us. So how do we take care of that? I had a question a couple of weeks ago of someone who was concerned about ice. And I said, I don't have a solution to ice. I do know that my job as a Buddhist, having taken vows as a Buddhist, my job is to take care of whatever situation is in front of me. And if that situation is, if indeed I have someone who is running from ice in front of me, how do I take care of that? If I have an ice agent in front of me, how do I take care of that? So there's no separation in any part of that. You put yourself in with whatever presents itself to you. That's the job. That's the hard part. How do we take care of what is right there in front of us, knowing that there is no separation? Not that there are differences. There are differences. Within this oneness, there are an infinite number of differences. So it is not always taken care of the same way. There's no rubber stamped answer to that, which people would love. So would I. So much easier if it was like, see a Buddha, kill the Buddha. It's just rubber stamped down the road. Every time this comes up, you do the same thing. You don't have to worry about it. It's practiced, and you got it down. Much more nuanced, much more subtle, much more difficult, much more work than that. Always has been and always will be. And how do we take care of a culture that literally thrives on all the separation? Literally. I mean, capitalism would just shrivel up and die if everyone thought they had enough, they didn't need anything else, and just stopped spending money. Pinko, liberal, whatever. I don't even know what those names mean anymore.
We didn't know what they meant when they used them before.
No, just,
I think 60s.
you just hear them from the likes of Charlie. Bird.
You're a bad person.
Yeah. But wasn't it Pinko a communist?
Yes.
Is that what the, okay.
The red scare.
Oh, the Red Scare? Okay, yeah.
But it was kind of more insulting.
Mm. Yeah. So,
As opposed to Pinky.
so yeah. So and you know, this is not new. We've always had, you know, these various levels of separation, and people and laws and, you know, cultures that have perpetuated this constant separation. And this continues. I mean, it seems worse now because I think it's, you know, there are parts of our culture right now that are living out loud, much more out loud than they've been allowed to before. But it's certainly not new. You know, the hatred is not new. You know, and where's my phone? I copied a Martin Luther King quote that I heard from a very different place. Now I'm going to find my phone. Yeah, I thought it was very apt, and you know, not that I've heard everything that Dr. King said, but I thought it was apt, especially in light of the events of this week. Or was it last week? When was he shot? Was that this was all this? So much. Here it is. The ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral, begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence, you murder the hater, but you do not murder the hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
What's that from?
It doesn't say. It doesn't give a source. It just says it's by Martin Luther King, but I don't know which speech. I'm gonna have to ask ChatGPT to source that for me. It's a picture, so I can't even copy it as text and paste it in.
Unfortunately, Charlie Kirk is some people's styles.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was on, I mean, the person who read it seemed a little unlikely. It was Chase Hughes, who was a PSYOP specialist for the Pentagon for years, and is very familiar with the science of creating separation. And he basically says, you're all caught in a whole PSYOP, you know, conspiracy. Yeah. They're working very hard to keep you separate and keep you angry and keep you upset so that it, you know, the stuff just continues to perpetuate. I don't buy into most conspiracy theories, but I thought as far as this one goes, it sounds okay. This one might be true. Because it's not new. I mean, certainly this has been going on for quite some time. And there's no agenda with it. It's just keep people upset and keep people separate. And it, you know, conflict generates energy. And, you know, I know that.
Marx said it's to keep people distracted from who the real problem is.
Yeah.
People hating each other over race, fighting each other over race. No one's really looking at the economic benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. Distraction is really the ultimate goal. So you're not paying attention to what's going
Poor
on.
people fighting poor people, thinking if there's limited resources. But really, it's just that resources are being, you know, hidden away by
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Inclusive for everyone.
It would be.
Yeah, there would be, but it makes us think that they're going to fight each other for it.
Yeah. I think that's true, and it's not just true now. I mean, it's always been true. Yeah, we've had this, this war of the haves and the have-nots for millennia. I mean, human beings have been doing this for a long time. But we're just seeing.
About 9,500 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Settled agriculture.
yeah, yeah.
People got the idea that they owned
They owned stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we have, at least in recorded history. And who knows how much farther back that actually goes, the seeds of that. So here we are with this, and it's not these ideas of the Buddhist ideas are not really counter as much as they are inclusive. We know that there is this appearance of duality, appearance of things being this and things being that, and being right and being wrong, and being up and being down. And that's the phenomenal reality that we deal with every day. We go out and we take care of that. But we know at the base of that those dualities exist on the ground base of oneness. And now quantum theory basically says that even space and time are not the ground base. That the quantum field is the ground base, and the quantum field is producing space and time. So this difference between, which is why we've never been able to figure out what time is, because it's not real. We experience it as something. We think that we live from moment to moment to moment to moment, but that does not appear to be true. So the trick is, the work is, how do we unseparate? Or how do we not separate? How do we, work with reality as it is, as it appears, as it comes to us, as beings who are creating and sustaining lives of non-separation? Because there are not two, we are only one. That's the subtlety, that's the nuance, that's the depths and the shallows that the verse refers to. I love that. The depths and the shallows are all within his grip. The staff, that where the space in which we stand, the truth in which we stand, the being in which we stand, is one, and that's where we emanate from. That's where everything emanates from, this oneness. It appears to be different, but that is not. It's not its ultimate reality. And keeping that in mind, and keeping that in the forefront, and keeping that in our lives, is the work of Zazen. And it's not Zazen that stays on the cushion. It's Zazen in your everyday life, in your everyday work, in your everyday encounters, in everything that you do. In the essential world, this is Yamada Roshi, quoting Yamada Roshi on this third page. In the essential world, there's no such thing as dualistic opposition. It's not real. Convincing people of that, impossible. So I don't recommend going out and proselytizing. We are one! Yeah, exactly. We would just sound crazy. Sometimes I would love to, knock a few people across it. It's like, what are you fighting about? We're all in this together. Get it together. Yeah. So I don't know, what happened to Mr. Kirk, why he was as much of a hater as I'm hearing that he was. Ultimately, he's a human being, with the wife. I'm assuming I don't know if he had kids, but I have 2 kids. Not very old. How old? Quite young.
less than 5 years old.
Yeah. I mean, and all of us want the same thing. We want.
I was like, what? He's 31?
Yeah, he was surprisingly young for as famous as I understood he was, and how much influence he apparently had. Um, and a friend of mine came over right after it happened and says, "Oh yeah, he said something about Israel. I'm sure it was Mossad." Okay, the theories, I'm like, they're instantly people just make stuff up.
There's so many conspiracy theories that his bodyguards apparently were using some kind of like hand signals.
Oh yeah, I
One of the
remember.
bodyguards, very familiar to some guy who's like apparently selling like Trump and Trump used in his assassination. Just the online world, that whole thing is just,
Yeah,
and all his bullets were basically, he engraved his bullets with all these like gamer, all these people were like online gamers, and basically it's what this kid did. Apparently, a lot of online gaming.
really.
So it's this whole other kind of
World out there.
worldview and language, and it's just it's
Yeah.
a rabbit hole. Just to go down.
And what does that solve? You know, yeah, it's smoke and mirrors. It's a distraction. How can we stay focused, centered in our essential selves in this world today, as it is, just as it is? That's the hard part because it doesn't get rid of all those ridiculous stories. It doesn't get rid of the hate. It doesn't get rid of the killing. It doesn't get rid of any of that. It does call for us to be present with it and to take care of it. Not that I know anyone like Mr. Kirk. I don't know. Certainly, I know some people who are politically conservative, but not to that extreme. But what do I do? How do I take care of it? How do I take care of those around me who are affected by this on either side of the spectrum? It's not just one thing. But this is the challenge. This is what our practice is. This is not just the latest headline. This is a daily, everyday thing. We wake up every day. We know that life is suffering, and we know that we're called to take care of that suffering. We need to start with the suffering within ourselves. How am I? Because as all the stories that are coming up, and I do my best not to pay attention to most of this stuff, but it's impossible. I walk outside and someone's talking about it, or someone's talking to me in the middle of a conversation, or I bring it up in a dharma talk. It comes up because it's here, because it's present, it's what's happened, it's what's going on, and it's what we're called to take care of. It is what our endless, depthless compassion is called to that job on a moment-to-moment basis, starting with ourselves. How do we take care of ourselves in the midst of this duality, of this have and have not? How do we know? How do we directly experience that there's no such thing as have and have not? There's no such thing as up and down or white, black and white, and hate or not hate. All that stuff is all smoke and mirrors, all delusion. And then, after we've taken care of ourselves, what's next? We step out of our zazen. We encounter our families. We encounter the neighbors. We encounter the world. And how do we take care of them? And there's no one answer. We have to be present with each and every person that we've encountered and really assess what it is they need. What did Mr. Kirk need? What did the people who were affected by Mr. Kirk negatively and positively need? Because all of those people, all of those elements come into play. They're not separate in any way at all. That's the hard part, is that we are not separate, they are not separate, this is not separate. Nothing here is separate. Yeah.
Well, this all harkens back to the 60s and 70s. In 1968, when we saw the assassinations of Dr. King, Dr. Kennedy. So it's the whole political assassination that Charlie Kirk and not Robert Kennedy's political assassination is wrong. Killing our opponents is acceptable.
Yeah.
And so it's lowering the temperature everywhere we can, setting our limits to our taking action against what we disagree with, and resisting this tendency to divide and separate and affirm instead, affirm life instead. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So I noticed that I checked my phone in the break. Long Beach had canceled it's canceling its Dia de los Muertos parade because of ice. So there's a whole, it's going to be pure about this because you cannot live in fear in the face of evil. When we do this before, again, it goes back to the 60s. And, the drafters just said, we're here, come get us. We're refusing to cooperate. We're breaking the law, come get us. And enough people did it, it was not possible to do that, take them away. But it was an act of love and affirmation, not of killing, not of hatred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a secondary issue that arose on Thursday and Friday. I was at community college. Most of my instructors are in their 40s and 50s, and some of my co-students are parents in their 30s, 40s. And what happened was after Charlie Kirk was shot, there were thousands of people that had cell phones that were filming him talking, and he continued to film as his head burst forward. They disseminated that video immediately on X, Facebook, Meta, YouTube, and it went out to like fifth graders, middle school students, high school students, and certainly it went out to the 20-year-olds in my classes. The teachers found out about that, and they told everybody, put your phones down, just because, people were actually sending it around. But the issue that the teachers and the parents are really concerned about is with traditional media, when something that horrific happens, they don't broadcast the gore, and even the authorities will put lines over bodies. It's partially out of respect for the victim, but it's also so they're saying that this particular incident was extremely traumatizing for a lot of people, very young people who've never seen a head blown apart. And I was just wondering, the irony is here we've got this media that connects everyone, but it has this dark underbelly of maybe there are things that we should not be sharing, and there's no central control over this, and it's a really thorny, very damaging experience.
Well, and I realize that people hold up social media as perhaps the last bastion of truth, because regular media, commercial media, is edited, is censored, is biased. Whereas what's going out over social media is what's happening immediately. And I know that, I get that. It's interesting because, probably because all my notifications are off, I never saw any of that. It wasn't in any of my, the only one I watch regularly is YouTube. I have Instagram and Facebook, and I do have an X account, interestingly enough, I forgot, because there was an email from X, but I never look at it. So I never seen any of that stuff because I don't my notifications are not turned on. But what came to mind as you were saying that is there are so many parts of the world in which that are at war. I think of what about the kids in Gaza? What are they seeing on a daily basis? In Uganda, in Ukraine, these areas. Yeah, the entire world is not.
The kids in the classroom, shooting in school.
Yeah.
Their classmates, their teachers,
Yeah. So yeah, those kids are seeing a truth that they're normally protected from, that they're not directly involved in. But are they seeing the truth? I guess I would be more concerned if what they were seeing wasn't true, and they're being traumatized by something that isn't true. So I get I concerned about, but I can't be concerned about the kids who saw that and were traumatized, or not also be concerned about the kids who are living that on a daily basis. And so that just doubles the work of how do we take care of them, because these traumas are happening all over the world all the time. They're not being, now, whereas before they weren't being broadcast, we didn't have access to that. Now we do, because certainly, I did get feeds out of Gaza, when that was happening, and watching people getting blown up as that was happening in Gaza. So I don't have an answer to that. I don't even have an opinion. We have never been able to roll back technology.
Why do we need to watch it at all?
Well, those of us who have the choice, or who make those choices, 5-year-old kids with their phones don't make those choices. They're just looking at the phone.
5-year-old should have a phone.
Well,
my 5-year-old, my granddaughter still don't.
Well, not all parents and grandparents are making those choices, but 5-year-old kids have phones.
Go to a restaurant and watch the toddler is given a phone. And these kids are just raised up screens.
Yeah, my 2-year-old great nephew could work my mother's iPad better than she could, and managed to order a whole bunch of games. 2. He's now 15, 16 years old. So brilliant kid, but we're never going to be able to take this technology away from the kids. The kids have it. We're not going to be able to protect them. We have to take care of them. And with AI coming, or here, there's work to be done. Resistance, that which you resist persists. You can't. I hate. I would love to get rid of all AI. I think it's just a ridiculous technology that's out of control. But that's just my personal opinion, and it means nothing because there's no way to stop it. It's coming. It's here. Now what? The kids have phones. Now what? What do we do with reality as it is? Sorry that these kids had to see that, especially since it is, it is not, in the United States right now, it's a fairly uncommon occurrence that these kinds of things happen. Unlike other parts of the world where it's happening minute by minute, hour by hour, people are being blown up. And the kids are being blown up, and kids are seeing, people being blown up. There is this trauma that is happening, and what do we do about it? How do we take care of it? That's the question. Is when it's in front of you, when you have it in front of you, when you have it as something for you to do. How do you do this from the basis of your essential nature? Which is the only reason why we do this practice.
Yeah, I don't think we have to just succumb to every kid's gonna have a cell phone. think it's bullshit. Parents have the ability and the right to decide kids are not having cell phones. Teachers have the ability and the right.
I understand, but that's wishful thinking, Mark.
No, it's not.
It is wishful thinking, Mark. Mark, kids have the phones. The phones
all
are out
kids have
there.
the phones.
They, maybe not all of them, but there are parents out there who have made that decision. They've given their kids the phones. So
That doesn't mean we all have to make the same decision.
I agree.
It's a decision.
And those who choose not to make the decision, I agree. They should not have them. But
It's a
that's not
decision.
the issue. The issue is how do we take care of the ones who are now witnessing the results of what our technology provides? Whether they have them or not. If they don't have them, they're not traumatized, great, not a problem. I'm talking about the people we have to take care of.
Right, but part of the taking care of is a broader view of working with parents.
It's very retrospective. And what are we going to do moving forward?
The cell phones are out
I'm
already.
saying parents.
What?
The cell phones are out already.
Yeah, there's no taking that back.
Take one.
You
Dumb
can't take it.
phones for everyone.
Yeah, dumb phone.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, so it's been obviously a traumatic week for those who are paying attention, and even for those who have the technology to see what happened and to hear what happened. And it's the signal is this division persists, this constant perpetuation of this separation persists, and we've never been able to stop it. That's the reality. The reality is that this has always been here. It will probably always be here. If I could spend a few $billions and convert the world to my point of view, which is better than everybody else's point of view, there would be world peace. Yeah, bullshit. So that's not happening. This practice is about dealing with reality as it is. And maybe there are better ways of parenting, moving forward. And maybe that's something that some parents will listen to and some parents won't.
I'm just saying we don't have to surrender to technology as a god. And we have the ability to make choices as parents, as friends, as political, whatever. We shouldn't just take that off the table and say, oh, it's Chicken Little, the sky is falling, there's nothing to do about it. That's bullshit. We have the ability to make decisions and to take control of our environment.
To a certain extent, no one gave my great nephew that iPad. He went and got that iPad by himself.
When a 2-year-old went to the store and bought an iPad.
No, it was in the house. And ordered, like, without knowing what a credit card was.
Magic numbers.
Yeah, we're all trying to figure out how he did that. And ordered all these games by himself, and he was having a grand old time.
Just running for president.
And that story lives in folklore because every time the family gets together, you remember that when you were 2, you ordered all those games.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, I know. Again with that story. So yeah, I agree. Choices need to be made. However, whatever the choices are, however reality presents itself, that's the job. That's what we have to take care of. All right.